Hey family, welcome to Love Samantha Lee, the More Than Just Pretty podcast. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite platform, I'm so glad you're here. We keep it real about love, faith, and life. Are you ready? Let's get into it. What's up, family? It's your girl Samantha Lee, and y'all, today's episode is gonna be a little. I was praying. I felt like God wants me to share something, so I'm gonna share it. Pray for you, girl. Pray for you, girl. But if you have not heard my podcast or have watched me on the YouTube space since I've been on it, I believe I've been on it since mid-March. I've been doing the podcast, I believe, for about a year or so. I have committed to being unapologetically honest with you guys, so I'm gonna be honest. But before I get into it, let me introduce myself. My name is Samantha Lee. If you do not know me, I have a platform, blessed to have a platform on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and the YouTube. I have a channel called, that the name is Love Samantha Lee, and this is the More Than Just Pretty channel that we have just started in March. I thank God because we're growing and we already have several thousand views on a lot of. I think it's somebody told my assistant Pam told me it was like 10,000 views already. So, it's growing. I'm very excited about it. So I want to thank everybody that supported the channel. If you have not yet already, hit the subscribe button. Hit that like button too. It does help us get into the algorithm. And again, this channel is really like stripped down. It's me just being completely transparent and allowing God to lead me to speak on things that he's leading me to speak on. And some days are more uncomfortable than others, and today's uncomfortable. So I hope it sets somebody free. I hope it helps you guys. So please go ahead. I also love reading your comments, the comments that are edifying. It feeds my spirit. I appreciate those comments. Again, I appreciate all the support you guys give me. It truly does mean a lot to me that I have this platform. I mean, look, I'm a girl from New Jersey, mixed girl from New Jersey. Who would have thought, right? So anyway, let's get into it, family. Let's get into it. So this episode is going to be called I Was Deceived. Now, God had told me I was going to tell the story. I thought it was going to be like later on, but no, I'm going to be obedient. It's today. Today's the day. Let's go. So, okay, I was deceived. So y'all, about a couple months ago, I started this journey with God that was more locked in version of my spirituality than I had been. To be honest with you guys, a couple years ago, I had stopped dreaming about certain things. I had faith in God for certain things, and God was calling me to have faith for all things, to allow him into all aspects of my life. And because of disappointment that I've experienced in my past, I stopped. I stopped having that same type of faith. And so God called me back this year through Pam, my assistant. Got to give her credit. She was like talking about, let's do a vision board, let's do this, let's do that. And just thinking about those things opened up a part of my heart and my mind that I had really neglected because of pain, because of disappointment in my past. And so I started dreaming again, and went with me dreaming again. God said, oh, you want to have faith for something again? Well, here I am. I put those dreams in your heart, and you got to use me to get there. And I'm like, oh. And so this journey with God began. And first month or so felt like breaking. I was crying every day. And then like a month and a half in, I got a little bit better, and I started committing to the process of what God was creating in me and through me. And I understood why I had to go through all this and grow through all this. And one of the things that happened in this time was God uncovering deceptions that I had collected along the way. One of those deceptions was about sex. Yes, y'all, I'm going to the sexual intercourse. We call fornication if it's better. I don't know how y'all want me to do it, but we gonna go into it. Um, so y'all, I'm not gonna get into how I got to a place where I felt like this was okay or acceptable, or that this was one of those areas where God wasn't that upset about, or wasn't that, this wasn't that deep of a sin, or I don't know how I got to a place of being deceived here. And I'm not even going to go into how I found a way to justify um, certain activity before marriage. I don't know how I got to that place. And, to be honest with you, I was raised in a household where the church was, in high school was True Love Ways, wore the purity ring, all that stuff. And, you know, I, I lost my virginity later than others, so I felt like I was winning because I did wait a long time in comparison to the people in my family, people I was around. And I was in relationship after relationship, and so I got married, meaning I was always in long-term relationships. And I guess at some level, when you conduct yourself in that manner, you're not feeling convicted about it anymore. You're just thinking like, oh well, I mean, it's what everybody does, so I'm just going with the norm. Unfortunately, y'all, even with me being, as I've expressed on other lives, abstinent, I've been abstinent for years. I still didn't have the conviction, or I didn't allow myself to have the conviction to wait till marriage. Just being honest with y'all. I'm being so honest today. It's uncomfortable. I didn't have that conviction. And so during this time, I would see a lot of different podcasts. I want to shout out Intentional Rising podcast, because I love their podcast. I love their story. And I've heard other people speak on this matter, but that there was one day where I was listening to their podcast. A young lady came on. She talked about how she was in a relationship. One of the ways that she found out that the relationship was not of her, she should have known it wasn't of God, was the fact that they were having intercourse prior to marriage, and that was obviously a sign. Well, I at the time was still under the premise, and this, as I'm trying to follow God, I was still under that mentality of like, I wasn't, if I met somebody I felt like was my husband, well, you know, I still wasn't at the place of I'm going to wait till marriage. I'm just going to be very honest with you guys. I was, again, been abstinent, but it was like my commitment was not until I say I do. So this young lady speaks, and she's speaking about it. And I am wrestling while she's speaking about her conviction. Now, she doesn't even know me. She doesn't even know that I'm watching. But I'm like, why does she feel, I'm like dealing with myself in this manner. And I'm like, God, like, is that really you? Or is this like, y'all, you don't understand how deceived I was. Cause it's one thing you're doing it and you're like, you're not deceived. You're like, I know this is wrong, but I'm doing this. This is a calculated sin. And that, y'all, again, that is not good. God has harder. There's, when you choose to sin and continuously sin, and you're like, I am doing this and I know what I'm doing, there's a different type of weight to it. Okay. And we'll talk about that later, but that is a different weight. That's a different weight. And so a lot of people that are engaging in that type of behavior, let's be honest, you're not hearing God like that. You're just not. He can't. The reason why Jesus had to come and die on the cross for our sins was because sin separates. That was the only way for us to be able to have a connection with God, was if Jesus, who was perfect, a perfect lamb, a perfect sacrifice, was to come and shed blood for us to be able to have this connection with God. Well, when we choose and knowingly choose to continue to move in that area, it's a different weight to that type of sin. Like, it's one thing to not know and you're in deception, or whatever the case may be. But if you know and you're doing it, there's verses for that. You can look it up, back it up, and figure it out for yourself. But it separates. It separates. And so y'all, being completely transparent, saw this podcast, saw this young lady talking about it, and I was wrestling with myself. Because I had justified it in my mind. I was like, I'm not waiting until, marriage. I don't know when that's going to be, like I don't want. And, like everybody and obviously enjoys that type of activity. So it's not like you're saying no to something that you enjoy. And I'd already been saying no. So I'm like, how long is this going to be, God? Like, now you're asking me, I don't know. This might be, who knows? Okay. So I'm just gonna keep y'all. I'm keeping it real today. Okay, I'm keeping it as real as I possibly can because this is uncomfortable. Okay, but anyway, so I'm wrestling, and I come home, I go into my room where I sit down before God, and this is really during my breaking period, and I'm like, God, like, I don't think that that's you. Like, there's no way you just don't want us to do this. Like, you created this. Like, I'm literally having, y'all might think this is crazy, but I'm literally having this dialogue with God because I was under so much deception. I'm not going to get into how I was so deceived. There's people that feel like it's not really a sin. There's people that feel like it is a sin. Like, there's a lot of different worlds. And I had found a loophole like a lot of us do when we want to continue to move in certain ways. And I found that loophole and I dug into it. And so, although in that, I had been abstinent, I haven't been, it still was one of those things where I struggled with, because of the deception I had received. And lo and behold, I sat before God, and He's so gracious and merciful. I was crying. He wouldn't even let me cry. I was like, God, I don't understand this. Like, is this really you? Like, is this what the world created? Is this rules that they created to make us, to suppress our sexuality? Like all this stuff that I had come up with, whatever. And by the end of that conversation, I was like, God, if this is not you, or this is you, if this is you saying this, I'll do whatever you want. I could cry now. Oh my gosh, I could cry now. It's like, I'll do whatever you want. And I think that surrender, that process of like, I'm fighting this, I'm fighting to be right here when, y'all, there's so many scriptures to back up the fact that you're not supposed to be doing that, right? But we live in a society where it's everywhere. And we think that just because it's normal, that means it's right. And normal and right are not the same thing, right? So the path that God calls us on is a narrow path. And, I think all of us deal with struggling with the level of lust. And whether I realized it or not, I did, and still do. And still, you're a human being. You have desires. It's been years. So yeah, you're desiring this. You want to connect with somebody in that way on some level. And you're like, when is it? Okay, well, I'm waiting. So marriage guy, when is this gonna happen? Send this man ready, Lord. I need him to be ready, God. We can't be waiting no daggone. Anyway, that's the point. Whole point is that I sat before God and I really was like, okay, that is, you got to confirm it to me. But if that is what you want, I'll do it. Because I want to hear you. And I want to be in right alignment with you. I'll tell you what, guys, that was a fight that literally, I've been arguing my perspective down for a while, thinking that justifying, I guess, my thought process. And yeah, I'm waiting, but I'm not waiting till then, but I was deceived, man. I was deceived. And so anyway, I had this conversation with God, and I will say probably by the next morning, I realized my heart had changed. about it. That as soon as I surrendered my thought, surrendered my all the false arguments that I had, and I asked God to change it. If it's not you, change it. My entire perspective of it changed. I started to see it for what it was. I think God created. We all know God created this activity. God created it, and it was good. But I do believe because our society makes it so normal and we see so many people doing it, we just, oh, I'm a Christian and yeah, I do this, but everybody does it, so it's okay. And it's not. It's not. And I see more and more now where you see people that really struggle with lust, really struggle with these things. And lust is, especially for men, I've talked about this on my lives. I'm not going to harp on it too much today, but lust, the lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, that is where we are attacked every single day. And if we're not being vigilant, we will fall into it because it's so normal. It makes it like, oh, well, it's not that big deal. It's not that, everybody does that. Well, everybody ain't getting into heaven. Everybody's not. In fact, minority of people that say that they are going to heaven or they have a relationship with God are actually entering into the pearly gates. Okay, I believe there's a verse. Let me find the verse, y'all, because I want to make sure that I'm saying this right. It says, prophesy in name. I have to find this verse, y'all. And I should have, but my spirit just put it on me now. It says, Matthew 7:22-23, it says, where Jesus says, many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. So there's going to be people that even they find a way to justify, oh, well, everybody was doing it. Oh, well, everybody was saying this and doing that and going to these things and engaging in these activities. And God says, listen, many of y'all will say this to me on that day. Did we not prophesy in your name? Did we not cast out demons in your name and do mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Y'all, the mark of a walk with God is being set apart, meaning you're not doing what everybody else does. You're called higher. A lot of us, I talk to a lot of people that say, oh, God, this, Jesus, that, blah, blah, blah. Your life looks like everybody else's. You're not living. Part of understanding who God is and what he means to you, a part of that will demonstrate a fruit in your life. That fruit is evident. It's an evident fruit. It's not just, oh, I say I love Jesus, so you love Jesus. No, there should be something about your life that is set apart. And if it's not, if I have to question the fruit, I have to question the root. Some of y'all only call Jesus when things are going bad and terrible in your life, but your life does not reflect an active and living relationship with God. And I had to confront myself in this moment because I was deceived. That if I'm sitting here and I'm actively living in a way that is not of God and I know it, Matthew 7 may apply to me too. That if I'm not at least trying, attempting, fighting, striving to live the life that God has called me to live, I then have to question myself and say, well, where's the fruit? Just because everybody's living that way doesn't justify the sin. And so God convicted me. And like I said, that next morning, y'all, every preconceived notion, every thought that I had come up with to justify my perception in doing this was casted down. And really, wasn't even a fight. Once I surrendered, it changed. That doesn't mean that my process or the things, what that comes with, is going to be easy. No, but I have so much peace about doing it God's way. You want to know why? Because I've done it my way. I've gotten my results. I've seen where me take me. I've seen the choices that I made. And a lot of people I've talked to, they'll say, God told me this and God told me that. It's like, how do you know if God told you this or God told you that? Are you living in a way that God can speak to you? One of the biggest things that, people will tell me, like, oh, God told me to go this way. Well, are you taking time with God to know God's voice? The only way we know God's voice is knowing God's character. The only way you know God's character is reading God's word. Understanding him. I challenge y'all, if you are watching me, read the Bible from cover to cover. There's a Bible app, a YouVersion Bible app. Read the Bible for yourselves. Don't allow pastors or preach anybody just to teach you. That's how I was deceived in the past. I didn't know the Bible, so people could come at me and say different things, and I didn't have anything to test it against. Learn it for yourself. Read it for yourself. That way, when you walk into churches, I'll be honest with you, you probably know more than 80% of Christians because you actually took the time to read it and understand it for yourself. And a lot of us don't do that. We sit here, we say we believe in God, we're Christians, we're this, we're that, but we don't even know the text to which we are supposed to live our lives from. I can tell by how we take scriptures out of context. And so I say that to say that in addition to not knowing God's word, a lot of us are knowingly practicing sin. Knowingly. We know what we're doing. We haven't repented. Repenting is understanding, like, listen, I don't want to do this again. I want to turn from my wicked ways. I don't want to live this way. In the Old Testament, it says, repent, turn from your wicked ways, and I will heal your land. A lot of us haven't turned. We haven't truly repented. Sorry, God, my bad. Right before you go to sleep, just in case you don't wake up, at least you make it into the pearly gates. It's not how that works. That's deception. The real fruit is demonstrated in action. I could say I love you all day, but if I don't act like I love you, does it matter? We say all the time, actions speak louder than words, but yet we want God to take our word for it. But yet in our own lives, if someone doesn't demonstrate that they're sorry or demonstrate that they love you or demonstrate their commitment or demonstrate that they're doing this or they're doing that, then we discard it. But we want God to take our word for it. And then when he challenges us, he's like, no, I want to see it. Oh, that's really hard. I don't want to do this. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, no. A lot of things that God has called me to do in this season, y'all. It's been a lot of lots of things, that sacrifices and areas, y'all, where I literally cried out. I mean, laid out, probably being overly dramatic, where God's like, girl, if you don't get up, probably like, y'all, I'm sure God in heaven's like, y'all, it's Sam again. Sam, she done call how many times today? This girl can't. I know God is tired of me. He like, did she this the third time this hour. I know, like, God is probably done with me. But in this journey, as God is continuously dealing with me, y'all, and I keep having this interaction and engaging with him, it's cleaned me up. It's allowed me to see aspects of myself that I thought, well, really, I had diminished and thought it was because everybody else was doing it. I'm better than most. So, no, that's pride. That's ego. No, you're not better than anybody. You're not. I'm not. That's what I'm saying. When I'm saying you're not, I was talking to myself. I'm like, you're not. No, Samantha Lee, you're not. You're deceived and you're prideful. And those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. And he had to humble me. And in this space of wilderness season, I've been, as I've been listening to words about this season, I was so fixated on being obedient. I mean, I really wanted to be obedient. So my changes, my lefts and my rights were that would have may have taken me a while to do in a different season. In this season, it was like, okay. And you know why? It's just like, okay. It's because I know where I've taken me. I know the results that doing me has brought me. And so me deceiving myself in this particular area, it was crazy how long I've held on to this belief and how overnight, once I surrender it, God changed it. So where I was like, okay. Not even like okay, like like okay. Like no, I was like, okay, okay, okay. I want to do it your way. I want to. Overnight. And for those of you guys, listen, I think most of us know that, that I was choosing that deception. Okay, let's be very clear. That was me. But for those of us who don't know, like when you're knowingly engaging in any type of activity that you know God it has nothing to do with, it separates you from God. It separates you from being able to hear God. We already have enough distractions in this world. So you could be distracted. You could be working too much. You could be, on social media a lot. You could be on video games, whatever the case may be. It's separating you from being able to hear God because you have to take intentional time out to hear God. The same way you're trying to pursue your career, the same way you're trying to get to the next level in that video game, the same way you should be trying to get to the next level in the spiritual kingdom. Because let's be real, y'all. If you see what's happening in the world today, we only have so much time. Outside of what we see in the world today, we only have so much time here on this planet. A lot of us are living like we're going to live forever. We're not. At some point, you're going to have to get to that gate. At some point, you're going to have to meet your maker. And what are you going to say? You can't point at what your parents did. You can't point at what your homeboy did. You can't point at what your friends did. You can't point at anybody but you. Because when you leave this earth, you leave on your own. When you come into this world, you come in on your own. So a lot of us are pointing at everybody around us to try to justify the way that we're living our lives. And the thing is, it's to the detriment of our entire society. Because namely, lust is the detriment of our society. Lust of the flesh, lust of eyes, lust of the eyes. It's breaking of homes. It's taking people's lives, their careers, being driven by a force and not willing to control it, allowing themselves to be driven by it, having absolutely no self-control. Like, oh, well, that's freedom. I mean, you get money and, you just do like whatever. God understands. No, he doesn't. He actually doesn't, because he's giving you the ability to overcome it. He's giving you the ability to make a different decision. And you're choosing to make the same decision as other people who don't have that same spirit living on the inside of them. God is calling us to live set apart. And when we're choosing sin and we're choosing a sinful lifestyle and we're trying to make it, oh, well, I'm a good person. Oh, well, that doesn't get you into heaven. It just doesn't. A relationship with God, a real one, is what gets you into heaven. And with that real relationship with God, I'm not saying people that say, I love Jesus and this, that, and the third, and their lives don't show it. They're evil, they're this, they're that, malicious. The way that they conduct themselves does not demonstrate a real and living relationship with God. I'm not talking about them. There's a very small minority of people that will say to God, I'm here and I belong here. And he's going to say, come on in. I've been waiting for you. And as soon as they told me you was transitioning, I'm coming to the gate. I had to meet you myself. I'm so proud of the way you lived your life. Well done, my good and faithful servants. I mean, we got the mansion waiting on you. It's right over here, like right there, past the pearly gate on the translucent golden road. Because y'all, what I've learned is that I'm building my life up for here. Here is only for so long. There's a heavenly kingdom that is to come, whether it happens while I'm here on earth or whether I descend and I go, or ascend, excuse me, and I go to that place, that magical place. Y'all, when I started listening to these words online and the miracles and the people that have, were deceased for a period of time, and they were able to ascend and experience heaven and see angels and all these different things, and come back and tell the story, or they descend and go to the other place. Those stories mark me because they're all very similar, eerily. These people don't know each other. Or these stories about miracles, or these stories or videos that you can see of angels. There is a very real supernatural force. There's videos of demonic activity. There's videos of supernatural angelic activity. You can literally Google angels. You will see people that have caught angels on camera. These things are real. Now, if you want to believe it or you don't, that's up to you, but it's real. Somebody was telling me that when you're driving a Tesla and you do it on autopilot, and some people, when they were driving near cemetery areas, that their signals were thrown off when they did the autopilot because of the supernatural activity. It's real. This stuff is real. And when we live for right here and right now in the 3D, what we can see, we're missing a whole other aspect of life. God didn't just create you for here. God created you for a kingdom that we do not see, that's more real than here. In fact, I saw a story of a young man online, y'all, and he was talking, or no, she was talking. It was a woman. It was a woman who she had a terrible accident, I think, on a horse, and she ended up passing away for a period of time. And she said that when she got there, it was almost like she left a black and white picture and went into a world filled with color. Like, it was more colorful and more real than the world she just left. I don't think we talk enough about the fact that we're not just living for right here. That's a deception. I also have heard stories of people that descended, went to the fiery place, thought they were Christians, and that they were met with burning, pain, agony, and an enemy that was laughing at them. Laughing. You go YouTube it, find out for yourself. Laughing at them. I got you. You were deceived. Gotcha. So you thought you said that prayer, you was going funny. No, you spent eternity here with me. You would think that if you was doing, hellish destruction on this earth, that you would be on a throne in that hell place. No. He's like, no, got you. You thought you was, oh no, got you. He's laughing. He's ridiculing. That is what the accounts are. It's really ridiculing people that make it to the hell kingdom. Okay? I don't know if we want to even call it a kingdom. Make it there. And they're thankful when they come back because they have another opportunity to live differently. Family, this thing that we're dealing with here is life. It's real. We can get so fixated on the here and now. And some of us, God is calling you. Like, he's calling you. He's doing all these things to get your attention. And you're fighting it. You're focusing so much on the things that feel so real right now. And God's like, I got a bigger thing for you to do. And you just focus on this job right here. And I've got bigger and better things. There's a purpose that you are here to serve for me. That's bigger than this life. I'm giving you the things that you do here. You're going to have a place in heaven that's higher. You're going to have heavenly, y'all, there's places in heaven. There's positions in heaven. There's ranks in heaven. Look it up. There's John Bevere speaks about it. There are rankings in heavenly kingdoms. And we're so focused on the rankings on this worldly kingdom. We're not thinking about the heavenly kingdom that we're going to, that will be there for eternity. You may not be jumping ranks here, but you might be jumping ranks in the kingdom. That means more to me. And I pray that it continues to mean more to me and mean more and more and more to me. Because we can get so lost in here. We can get so lost in what we see. We can get so lost in the here and now. And we're choosing to live in deliberate sin. And saying, oh, well, everybody else is doing it. Well, everybody else, we don't really want to go where everybody's going. Because we already know everybody ain't making it to the heavenly kingdom. We know that for sure. The true mark of a genuine relationship with God comes with outward expression of that faith. And that's obedience. That's intentionally making decisions that reflect an active and real relationship with Christ. To end this, I wanted to go ahead and read the scripture so that anybody that was in deception, that felt like, oh, it's not that big of a deal if I over here sleep around and do this, that, and the third. This is for men and women. Why? Because this verse was probably to men. We're talking about 1 Corinthians. I think the Corinthians was written by Paul. Paul, in that time, women didn't have as many rights as they do today, obviously. So he was speaking to men. Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside of the body, but whoever sins sexually sins against their own body. They talk about the body being a temple. They talk about that it's serious. It is serious. It's a serious thing. And even though we see it, even though we're always talking about it, even though it's so popular, it is something that is held against you. It does get in the way of you being able to have an active and living relationship with Christ. That is why Paul also emphasizes, listen, if you desire this, if you desire being with somebody, he honors people that choose the single way because they don't have any other obligations, meaning that they're not out here sleeping around with people. They're just focused on God. That's why he says living a single life is a great thing, because you could just focus on God and you don't have any competing obligations, right? But if you're going to sleep with anybody, if you're going to be in any type of sexual relationship at all, get married. So you're not in sin. You're not out here doing all these different things. You can still have an active relationship with God. Because outside of covenant, it's a sin. It's a sin. And it distracts. And it gets in your way of being able to truly hear God. It gets in your relationship with God. Now, this is obviously, family, not to condemn anybody, because I started this out saying I was deceived. But it took me having a moment to surrender and saying, listen, God, I don't even care anymore. If it's not you, if this is not a belief that comes from you, I don't want it. I've done it my way. And I've obviously seen the results of doing it my way. So God, lead me, guide me in this decision. Show me your way. And overnight, my perception changed. Overnight. Now, y'all, this is embarrassing because it's like, how can you think this, that, and the third? But it's the truth. I was deceived. And God had to check me. And now my commitment to doing it his way is renewed. I understand it. And I get it. I see why. Because we have to learn how to, even to be good in a marriage or any type of relationship, you have to learn how to deny yourself. If you don't practice that while you're single, how do you think you're suddenly going to be that way when you're married? A lot of us think that, I'm just going to sleep with everybody while I'm single and then I'll be ready to settle down. Well, how has that worked? That doesn't always work. That's not always a great situation. It's almost like any type of athlete saying, I'm not going to practice until I get in the game, until I get to the track, until I go to the gymnastics meet, until I get to the Olympics. That's when I get into the Olympic game, that is when I'm going to do it the right way. It's like, no, in any other thing we do, we've got to practice. It's the same way in that area as well. We have to practice denying ourselves. We have to practice being able to tell our flesh no. Because if not, it takes us on a roller coaster, it takes us on a ride that some of us can't get off on even when we want to. Lust has taken a lot of people that we've seen, people we put up on pedestals, and knocked them right off. Whether they be pastors, whether they be pillars in our community, whether it be politicians, whether it be entertainers, whether it be athletes, it doesn't matter. Lust has been a detriment to a lot of different people because they have not learned how to say no to their flesh. Their flesh has driven that car and drove it into a brick wall. Don't let that be you, family. Don't let that be you. I know it's not easy to sit here and say, do it God's way. But at least I want to let you in on a place where I was deceived. And I hope that this transparent account helps you as you move forward and move closer to God, because he wants to be close to you. He loves you. This is not a punishment. Doing this is not a punishment. This is actually to your benefit. It's to your benefit to have self-control in this area. We see what happens when you don't. We've seen people lose their lives, lose their livelihoods, lose their freedom, lose their families, lose everything in the name of lust, uncontrolled, unbridled, undisciplined, and allowed their lust to lead them. I don't care how much money you have. I don't care what type of status you have in this planet. I don't care what it is. It is unwise to let lust be the driver of your vehicle. When I say your vehicle, I'm saying your body. It's an unwise driver. So have discipline now. Let God lead you now. And watch how your life goes from here to there. All right, family. I know this was a tough one. It's tough for me, trust me. It's tough for me. But I hope and pray that God absolutely speaks to someone on here that was deceived, just like me. Okay? I love you guys, and I will see you guys soon. Bye. And that's a wrap. If this episode spoke to you, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on YouTube or leave a review wherever you're listening. Let's keep the convo going. Connect with me on all socials. Remember, real beauty starts with you being true to yourself. I love you, family, and I'll see you soon.